now the latest on August 4th around the wide world of tropics. Here's your tropical weather bulletin. A multitude of systems are active around the world today. Tropical storms Flossie and Gil in the eastern Pacific, Francisco in the western Pacific, Erick and Wifa on the way out. 41 storms have formed so far in 2019, it's day 216. In the Atlantic, it's day 65. Invest 96L has a small chance of development in the Atlantic, getting towards the Lesser Antilles. On day 82 in the eastern Pacific, some pretty mediocre-looking storms are active right now. Erick, Flossie, and Gil. And in the western Pacific, Francisco is headed towards Japan to the northwest, about to pass through the Ogasawara island chain. No systems active in the southern hemisphere at this time. It's all quiet down there. The main feature is Tropical Storm Francisco, which we're giving 50-mile-an-hour winds and a pressure of 995 millibars. It's located just to the east of Ogasawara, only 68 miles away at that, 27 degrees north, 143.3 degrees east. The storm is likely to move towards the northwest, towards the Japanese islands over the course of the next few days. It could intensify further, but at the moment we're putting it down for a tropical storm landfall on Kyushu, but it could reach typhoon status. And it will then move into South Korea by the looks of things as it curves around back towards the northeast and weakening by that stage. Tropical Storm Flossie has winds of 45 miles per hour and a pressure of 1003 millibars. It's now entered the central Pacific Ocean and is headed towards the Hawaiian Islands, 636 miles from Hawaii, the big island, 19 north, 145 degrees west. Flossie is expected to continue towards the islands over the course of the weekend into the next week, and it will possibly skirt the islands just to the north, unlike Erick, which went south. And then after that, models really diverge after that towards the middle part of the week where exactly it will go, but it would appear that it will, for the most part, miss the islands. Invest 94W is another feature that we're looking at today, 30 miles per hour and a pressure of 996 millibars, puts it well to the east of the Philippines, 444 miles from Virac on Catanduanes, 16.2 degrees north, 130.3 degrees east. This system is likely to develop into a tropical storm pretty soon. It's a very broad system as well, and we really don't know exactly how strong this one's going to get. Some models, like the HWRF, calling for a major typhoon out of this. But it also called for the same with Francisco, which isn't materializing, at least at the moment. So we're going to watch this one very closely. It could have a huge wind field as it continues along. This is imagery of Francisco now, looking at the wind shear values. Very low wind shear over that storm right now. It will start to rise just a little bit as it advances towards the northwest. Francisco, looking at the imagery there, it's got some decent convection near the center right now, and it could pass very close, if not over, Ogasawara. In the North Atlantic, this is what 96L looks like right now. It's approaching the Lesser Antilles there. Not looking great, but it has been, I would say, an improvement since we did our video update a day or two ago. But the National Hurricane Center only giving it a 20% chance of development in the next 5 days, or indeed in the next 48 hours. The Gulf of Mexico looking fairly quiet, some thunderstorms bubbling up over the Yucatan, Cuba and eastern Florida, the usual suspects. In the eastern Pacific, Flossie and Gil are both looking pretty lackluster, I must say, both with exposed center of circulations, with convection blowing up on the eastern side. Erick is very much the same as well. We've downgraded that to a tropical depression just now because of its poor appearance and lack of winds detected by ASCAP. Francisco clearly visible up there, 94W located further south, one to watch over the next few days along with Francisco as they both move towards the north or northwest. And some cloudiness as well in the South China Sea and elsewhere across the basin. Really, there is the potential for some more systems to develop in the coming days. In the Australia and South Pacific region, things very quiet here. Only a few little flare-ups occurring near Papua New Guinea. It's expected at this time of year that it's going to be quiet. The remnants of Wifa are still moving on there over Indochina, convection associated with it now entering Myanmar and also part of Thailand. Looking at sea surface temperatures, the Eastern Pacific very warm, 30 degrees or higher along the coast of Mexico. Extending towards Hawaii, those temperatures getting rather low, 26 degrees at a push for Flossie, especially as it heads north of the islands. The Atlantic getting very warm along the coast of Cuba, particularly on the southern side, and that warm tongue extending out over the main development region. The Indian Ocean quite cooler, probably because of those monsoonal rains, and the Western Pacific much cooler now in the South China Sea, still warm enough. The Philippine Sea remains the big hotspot in the basin. So let's take a look in depth at the floaters on some of these systems. This is Tropical Storm Francisco. Daylight has broken over that storm now. The tiny pink outline there is the Ogasawara Islands of Japan. Just to the south there as well is Iwo Jima, if you can make that one out, just south of Francisco's influence now under clear weather. But the storm itself remaining fairly compact and blowing up a little bit in the latest frames, could be intensifying. Invest 94W looks like this, still struggling to get its circulation together by the looks of things, but there is rotation and huge flare-ups on the infrared, as you can quite clearly see on the western side. Banding extending into the Philippines too could cause some flash flooding issues. Tropical Storm Flossie looks like this in the latest frames as well, looking pretty poor as we've been alluding to. The eastern side is still the strongest with that convection blowing up, but it is becoming very weak now after its hurricane peak earlier. Not up to the expectations from the early forecasts. So the next name in the Atlantic will be Chantal. Everyone thought it would have been 96L. Well, surprise, it hasn't happened again, just like with 3L. The Eastern Pacific, the next name is Henriette. In the Central Pacific, we're looking out for Akoni. In the Western Pacific, the next name on the list will be Lekima, and in the North Indian Ocean, it's Hika on list 8. You can find Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com with the latest. You can find our YouTube page, search Force 13 if you're not there already. Subscribe if you haven't so far. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, search Force 13 all in text there too. And you can contact us on any of those mediums. That's all for now. We'll have another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow. You can also help the project become even better by becoming a patron. You can see more information about all the benefits involved by visiting patreon.com/Force13. With a special thanks to these people for being our most valued patrons this month. You can also check out our growing merch store so you can show Force 13's colours wherever you go. You can also find a link to our Discord server underneath this video in the description.